Did you know that despite owing Ariadne his life, Theseus wound up marrying her sister? Hello and welcome to World History Encyclopedia. My name is Kelly and today's video is all about the hero of Greek mythology who defeated the Minotaur in the labyrinth under the palace of King Minos. Today we will be exploring the life and adventures of Theseus. Don't forget, the easiest way to support us is by giving this video a thumbs up, subscribing to our channel, and hitting that bell icon for notifications so you don't miss out on any new uploads. World History Encyclopedia is a non-profit organisation and you can find us on Patreon, a brilliant site where you can support our work and receive exclusive benefits in return. Your support helps us create videos twice a week, so make sure to check it out via the pop-up in the top corner of the screen or via the Patreon link down below. Theseus was the legendary hero king of Athens who had both mortal and divine lineage. On the night that Aethra of Troezen, his mother, became pregnant, she slept with both Aegeus, the king of Athens, and Poseidon, the god of the sea. Aegeus later left Troezen to return to Athens and told Aethra to keep his identity as the boy's father as a secret. He would hide a pair of sandals and a sword beneath a huge rock, and when the boy came of age, if he proved strong enough, he should roll the rock away, retrieve the gifts, and come to Athens, where he would be recognized. Theseus grew up in Troezen in the northeast Peloponnese, where his grandfather was king, and when he was grown, he was able to move the rock and retrieve the gifts, and so it was time for him to head off to Athens. He could take the safe passage by sea or the dangerous route by land, and hungry for adventure, chose the land route. It wasn't an easy journey for him, and he had to battle 6 monsters and villains along the way, the Six Labours of Theseus, which established him as a hero. The first villain he came across was Periphetes, who used an iron club as a cane and also to beat passers-by to death. So Theseus beat him to death in the same way and took his club. Then he met Sinis in Corinth, who forced people to bend pine trees and then were flung by them to their deaths when they could no longer hold them. And so Theseus killed him in the same manner. His third labour was the monster Fire, a bad-tempered giant sow and offspring of a she-dragon that was causing trouble in the city of Crommyon near Corinth. Theseus killed the sow and then he went on and met Sciron, a son of Pelops, who guarded the narrow passage between the rocks of Megara. He would force people to wash his feet, their backs to the sea, and then would kick them off the ledge into the water where they were eaten by the giant turtle who lived below. Sciron's reign of terror came to an end though when Theseus flung the man into the sea by his feet, who was then himself eaten by the turtle, or turned into a rock depending on the version of the tale. Next, in Eleusis, Theseus faced Cercyon, who forced anyone who passed by him to wrestle him, and after the match, would kill them. So Theseus killed him in the same manner. The final villain Theseus came across on his travels was Demastes, who was also known as Polypemon or Procrustes. Demastes had a home by the road with 2 beds of different sizes. He would offer his home to travellers and have short men lie on the long bed, then beat the person with a hammer until they were long enough for the bed. And he would make the long man lie on the short bed and cut off the body parts that hung beyond. Theseus killed this villain in the same way that Demastes had killed so many others. Finally, Theseus arrived in Athens, unrecognized by Aegeus, but his stepmother Medea, the hero Jason's ex-wife, knew who he was and schemed against him. Aegeus offered the young man full hospitality, but with Medea whispering in his ear about the stranger being a threat, Aegeus sent Theseus to kill the bull of Marathon that had been terrorizing the region, in the hopes that he would not return. Theseus managed to kill the bull and sacrificed it to the god Apollo. At some point, Theseus also managed to be a part of the hunt for the Caledonian boar with Meleager and Atalanta, and in some versions of the tale, he accompanied Jason and his Argonauts in their quest for the Golden Fleece. Eventually, he returned to Athens where he was offered poisoned wine by his stepmother. But before he could drink from the cup, Aegeus recognized Theseus as his son by his sandals and sword, knocked the cup from his hands, and banished Medea from the region. Despite his heroism before even reaching Athens, Theseus's greatest challenge was yet to come, in the form of the Minotaur. According to one version of the myth, one day Aegeus was celebrating the Pan-Athenaic Games in Athens, and Androgeos, the son of Minos, the king of Crete, beat everyone in the games. Because of his great victory, Aegeus honoured him by sending him to kill the bull of Marathon, but Androgeos was killed by the bull instead. Minos heard the news of his son's death and, seeking revenge, sent a fleet of ships to attack Athens. After being unable to capture the city, Minos prayed to Zeus, and Athens was struck by famine and plague. The Athenians asked the oracle how they could change their fortunes, and the god replied that they should offer Minos whatever he wanted. Minos asked for a sacrifice of 7 courageous youths and 7 beautiful maidens from Athens every 7 years to feed the monstrous Minotaur, the half-man, half-bull who lived in a labyrinth under the palace of Knossos on Crete. The Minotaur was the flesh-eating son of Minos' wife Pasiphae and the beautiful Cretan bull, which Minos was supposed to have sacrificed to Poseidon. When he failed to do so because he wanted to keep it for himself, Pasiphae was struck with lust for the bull, mated with it, and gave birth to the Minotaur, who was so destructive that Minos had the architect Daedalus design the labyrinth to contain the monster. Theseus was either included on the list of 7 youths, or he volunteered to be one of the 14 who sailed to Crete to be food for the monster. The ship he travelled to Crete on had black sails, in mourning for the 14 sacrificial victims, and his father asked him to change the sails to white on the return trip if he had survived. Upon his arrival at Crete, Ariadne, the daughter of King Minos, fell in love with the hero, and she promised that she would help him if only he would take her away with him and marry her. Theseus agreed, and in return, Ariadne gave the hero a sword and a ball of string to use to guide him through the winding passages of the labyrinth. After killing the beast, he followed the string safely back to the entrance of the dark maze, freeing Athens of its obligation to the Cretan king. Theseus and Ariadne sailed away from Crete and stopped off at the island of Naxos. In some versions, Theseus leaves Ariadne on Naxos by choice while she is sleeping. In some, she is so ill that he has to leave her, and in others, the god Dionysus orders Theseus to leave her so she could marry him instead. In other versions, Ariadne is killed by Artemis, and in another, she marries the god of wine, and they have 4 sons. Whichever the version though, Theseus leaves Ariadne on Naxos and sails home, but forgets to change his sails from black to white. When Aegeus sees the black sails, he assumes his son has been killed by the Minotaur and throws himself off the cliffs into the sea below. And thereafter the sea bore his name and is still known today as the Aegean Sea. After this tragedy, Theseus became the king of Athens. You might think the story would end there, but the adventures were far from over for Theseus. He joined forces with probably the greatest hero from Greek mythology, Heracles, in his expedition against the Amazons. During this encounter, Theseus abducted Hippolyta, the Amazon queen, and married her. In a rescue attempt, the Amazons marched against Attica, but Theseus and the Athenians defeated the Amazons. Hippolyta became pregnant by Theseus and gave birth to a son, Hippolytus, who remained with his father. Theseus then continued his adventures and fought the centaurs, half men, half horse creatures, who had disrupted the wedding of Theseus's friend, Perithous. And after this, the 2 friends headed to the underworld to try and abduct Persephone, wife of Hades, to be Perithous' wife instead. Hades, feigning hospitality, invited the men to have a seat, and once they sat, they were trapped by the king of the underworld. The 2 stayed there until Heracles descended to the underworld to capture Cerberus, and although he freed Theseus, Perithous was not so lucky. Although presumably still married to the Amazon Hippolyta and having abandoned Ariadne, the woman who had saved him, Theseus now married Phaedra, daughter of King Minos and sister of Ariadne. Theseus and Phaedra had 2 sons, Acamas and Demophon, but the happy family didn't last very long because Phaedra fell in love with her stepson, Hippolytus. The boy did not feel the same and shunned her advances. Phaedra, fearing that Hippolytus would tell her husband, told Theseus that his son had tried to rape her. Outraged, Theseus asked Poseidon to punish Hippolytus, and so the god sent a bull to frighten the horses pulling Hippolytus's chariot, so he would be dragged into the sea and drowned. After his death, Phaedra could not live with the guilt and hanged herself. Theseus wasn't finished with women or abductions just yet, and this time he had his sights set on the child Helen, who would grow to become the most beautiful mortal woman in the world, Helen of Troy. Theseus captured Helen when she was just a girl and gave her to his mother to look after until she reached womanhood. But Helen was rescued by her brothers, the Dioscuri twins, Castor and Polydeuces. The twins then invaded Attica and Theseus was forced to flee to the Aegean island of Skyros, where he died after being pushed off a cliff by King Lycomedes. As the city of Athens grew in dominance in the Greek world in the 6th century BCE, so did the myths of Theseus. Theseus became something of a symbol for Athens, a symbol in particular of the city's strength. He was popular in art from Greece, and from the end of the 6th century BCE, his victory over the Minotaur was a common theme. His 6 labours on his journey to Athens were popular in relief sculptures in Athens and at Delphi, and at the temple of Poseidon at Sunion. It was his adventure with the Minotaur and victory over the Marathon bull, however, that were particularly favoured on black figure pottery, and he was also featured in numerous extant tragedies from ancient Greece, including Euripides' Hippolytus and Suppliant Women, and Sophocles' Oedipus at Colonus. Even in the present day, Theseus remains one of the most famous mythical heroes of ancient Greece, and the stories of his adventures are still as popular as they were back then. What do you think makes a hero in Greek myth? Let us know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss out on any new uploads. This video was brought to you by World History Encyclopedia. For more great articles and interactive content, head to our website via the link below. If you like my sweater, you can find this design and a bunch more in our shop at worldhistory.store, or you can find a link for it down below. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see you soon with another video.